Dynamic neck and shoulder mobility. So a lot of older adults have decreased range of motion in the shoulder and neck region, or they have some type of muscle imbalance. So it's very important to increase mobility in these areas, especially during the warm-up, because it will help them come into a better alignment for the circuit exercises to come. I've had a lot of students say by doing just some of these very gentle range of motion movements that it's helped them decrease the stress in this area. They've been able to sleep better at night, they have less headaches, and they have more ability to do things like when they're driving to look over their shoulder. So they're small movements, but they're very, very beneficial and very important to include in the warm-up. So we're going to start with the first progression, which is seated. So I'm going to come. We always want to make sure our students have their bottom all the way on the chair. They're nice and upright and lined up. So most likely, your students, when they come in, especially for the seated level, the Explore level, they're going to be rounded. So when they're rounded, they're not going to get the same benefit as when their chest is up and they have a nice lengthened spine. So it's very important to take the time to set your students up. The chest is up, shoulders are soft, the chin is tucked back. And then from here, we can do some gentle range of motion exercises for the neck. So we're going to start with taking the right ear to the shoulder. So you want your students to look directly ahead, and they're going to drop their right ear just straight down to their shoulder, and then bring their head back center. And we're going to go in the opposite direction. So taking the shoulder, just taking that ear to the opposite shoulder, and then coming center. You want them always to move very slow and controlled. A good cue is like they're moving through water. They should feel a gentle opening all through the side of their neck into their shoulder. Now we can also have them look over each shoulder. So just switching sides, just telling to gently look over one shoulder, come back center, and look over the other shoulder, come back center. And again, when they look over their shoulder, you can tell them, say hi at your neighbor, smile at your neighbor. Coming center, over the shoulder, and coming center. We can also do some very, very slow, controlled front neck circles. We want to avoid full neck circles because the backwards motion can compress the cervical vertebrae, so the vertebrae on your upper neck. And we want to avoid that. So we want to do nice, slow, fluid, front-only neck circles. So they can take their ear to their shoulder and then gently roll the chin to the chest, ear to the opposite shoulder, and back again, allowing them to move at their own perfect pace. If there's a spot where they really feel the opening, they can hold it there and pause for a second. And when they're done, they're going to just gently have their head come up, returning to neutral. So that's a few mobility and range of motion exercises for the neck. Now we're going to look at the shoulders. So the main concept of Silver and Fit is we want them to open their chest. So it's not that doing forward shoulder rolls are wrong, it's that we want to emphasize backwards shoulder rolls. Because when we come back, there's an increased opening in the chest. So when we come forward, your students kind of come into that gorilla stance, right? We want to focus on opening the chest. So we have the shoulders rolling up and back, and this just feels good. I always tell my students it's like a back massage. So we can do double shoulder rolls back. You can also have your students do one shoulder at a time, and this increases their shoulder girdle mobility. So one at a time, and release. Now, all of these neck and shoulder mobility stretches can also be done from a standing position. If you have students that need light support, remember they can just simply hold the chair lightly right here, or they can freestand, or they can even come behind their chair and gently hold. So again, we have ear to shoulder. We have the gaze over the shoulder. We have front neck circles, ear to shoulder, chin to chest, ear to shoulder. We have shoulder rolls up and back. And then we have the opposition. For your advanced students, you can integrate these movements. So we'll take the calf stretch as an example. So the back toe is straight ahead, the heel's down. Maybe we hold them in the calf stretch and we add in the shoulder rolls. Then maybe we step in and do a little neck mobility. Step back with the opposite foot into that calf stretch, doing those double shoulder rolls back and stepping in. So those are a few techniques that will help your student increase mobility in their shoulder and neck areas.